Wow, no, stop. Almost. That was close. How you guys doing? Good evening. It's late. I know it's late. There was just something I want to talk about. This idea first came up when we were reading the book of... Was it the book? No, stop. Was it the book of almost not Job? What the hell is the dude's name? Sorry, something happened to my ankle and it's like swollen and it hurts like hell. And I did nothing to it. I didn't sprain it. I wasn't running. I wasn't working out. I was literally just chilling around the house. And it's fucking, I can't even walk without limping. Like it's just, especially today, it's been hurting like hell. It's been coming for the past couple days. Man, I don't know what it is. It's just super weird. Anywho, the pain is a little distracting, but Salabi, what's cracking? Julio, what's cracking? Astrology, yeah, astrology. Should we drop the idea of astrology? And hear me out. Bigger than the Gospel of Judas. Oh, that's what it was. It was the Gnostic Gospel of Judas, and Jesus talks about no longer rising to a point where you're no longer bound by the stars, not bound by anything, in other words. So I'm not saying that he was referring to astrology. I'm not saying that it was code for we shouldn't follow astrology. I just made the connection myself, like, oh, well, believing in astrology is sort of like being bound by the stars, in that you have a underlying way about you that you can find out from the stars. So I guess the question is, did the stars, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it you that came into existence and arranged the stars that way? Or did the stars first come into existence and arrange you that way? One of them had to have happened, right? If you believe in astrology, in other words. And I wasn't really sold on the idea because it's so accurate a lot of the times until today. So today, I was thinking that's the same thought. Like, how can we be bound by the stars? What does he mean, rise above? So if you're on Earth, the sky over your head is the only place in all of the universe that will have the sky oriented on Earth is Earth. It's the only spot. You go to Mars, the sky is going to be different. Venus, the sky is going to be different. Let alone different solar systems, let alone different galaxies, let alone distant cluster galaxies on the other side of the universe. You know what I mean? So it seems incredibly limiting to say I am bound by my star sign. Like I can't be anything other than an Aries, for example. Or I have to think like an Aquarius because I have an Aquarius rising. Not to say that isn't a thing that the stars don't determine, like the Bible talks about, etc. But maybe we can transcend that, and maybe that's the point, to transcend that. Or maybe not a point, but a lucky side effect. Kalila Ishvara, if I'm pronouncing that right. Astrology is the default settings. Yes. The default settings. I hear that. I feel that. But Pandora, how's it going? Yo, Keith, I'm on page 103 of Power versus Force. Man, we're going to have to do a live about this book. Yes, agreed, Alchemy. We'll get you on. We're doing another live tomorrow evening, actually, you guys. I forgot his tag. Gibran? I can't pronounce his name. but the one who was talking about pyramid structures the other day and metallic and crystal based structures. Homeboy's gonna be on the channel. Seems like a cool dude. Doesn't have a YouTube channel. Doesn't have an Instagram. Or like that. He doesn't have social media followings. You know what I mean? But I was talking to him for a bit, and he seems like he's on it. He's a well spoken dude. Seems like he's pretty chill. Obviously, why else would he be here? We got a good squad, so I'm excited. Courtesy of John Smith making the thumbnail. Thanks, John. And so you guys don't miss that. I'm aiming for 7:00. I'm aiming for 7:00. But yeah. We choose the astrology we are born into in order to attain our characteristics that give us the thing we are growing by being alive. All right, I guess that would still fit. I guess my thing is like, if I'm going to travel to a galaxy far, far away and get my own lightsaber because I've transcended this dimension or transcended something, it seems belittling that the stars on a tiny planet way back on the other side of existence in the universe is sort of what's binding me, is what I'm bound by. Like you said, that's your default settings. So in this form, does it always have to be my default settings, is what I'm saying? Can't we wipe the default settings clear? And how are we so sure that we made a choice to be here? How do I know that? I know, or I feel like I know at least, that astrology to a degree is incredibly accurate. My birth chart, friends' birth charts, how people interact with each other, celebrities. Like I've done enough research to where I feel strongly that astrology there's something to it. But like, how do I know I chose this? That's another idea I'm not completely sold on. I've heard that idea a ton of times where we choose our life on this planet, we make a contract, and we sort of play out the role. I'm not sold out on that either. I don't know. I hope that doesn't throw a wrench in any. Not that I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not convinced. I don't see how. I don't see the connection. I don't see the connection. I guess that's what it is. I can be convinced, but I've looked into it a lot, and I'm still not sold. I also don't have a better theory to slip in. I'm not saying I have a better theory to offer up than that. I'm simply saying I'm not sold on the idea, which means I'm not sold on the idea that has to remain my default, which is where I'm getting at. I'm not sold that it has to stay this way, or that the only way for my default to change is if I die and I am reborn somewhere else. Because what if we tap into Toth and his little out meditate for an hour north and south for eternal life, and then east to west to pass on? Like, what if I'm on that level? I'm not going to want to be a fucking Aries for the next 8 millennia. Like, that sounds boring as fuck. You know what I mean? Or just going to be whatever. I would like the default to not be the default all the time. I'm sure, Kalis, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Kalis says, I'm sure if you traveled to a different planet in a different galaxy, the energetic resonance would be entirely different. It would be entirely different. And that's what I'm getting at, is like, we have one tiny ass little planet with one perspective of an infinite amount of perspectives. And what I mean is, every planet can look up and go, okay, the stars are aligned this way, so my default is this. But every planet has that, their own zodiacs that maybe are only 6 instead of 12, or their own planets. There's no such thing as a Venus of love. There's like a planet that mixes completely different other characteristics together that aren't the same situation or the order at all, or make sense as ours does in the least. And that just ripples every planet. Every fucking planet that we ever come across are these different, like, next level. Imagine like a 6-planet solar system. All the planets are like 50 times the size of Earth, and they're just like evolved 5 million years apiece, and each planet has an advanced civilization that looks at us like a bunch of ants, or even less than that. And fucking here we are, like, I'm an Aries. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just musing, you know what I mean? I'm just Just one of those late night musings. What's up, Michael T? Nice to see you. The fool's journey through the tarot can relate to the evolution to the entire zodiac growth. Yeah, that's. I was reading something by the Theosophical Society, and they have an interesting take on astrology, and that was one of the stories they told, moving through the zodiac sign and how each sign leads to the next. I liked that presentation of astrology. We are customizable. You are like a phone. You can always change your settings. That's what I was getting at. Kalila, if I'm pronouncing that right. Then how? What are the steps? We say meditate. Okay, I meditate. I'm sure we've all meditated religiously, no pun intended. And none of us, I've rarely seen, I haven't seen any videos talking about disassociating with your sign. Like, have you guys often? Have you seen it often? Because I haven't seen it at all. I can't recall not one video that talks about detaching from your stars or negating them or completely rearranging yourself to, or getting rid of your contract. Actually, I think I've seen some videos on getting rid of your contract. Like, you don't have to go forward with your soul contract. So I have seen that, but yeah. See if I missed. Sorry if I missed you guys' comments. I'm not doing a good job keeping up with them. Influence is real. How much you allow it to rule over your life is choice. That's a lot of it. That's what always brings me back to the original astrologies where it's at, because I do believe that everything has an influence on you. And that's where I've leaned in the past, how astrology works and how free will can exist with astrology. And that is, we came through at a time where the stars in the sky were a certain way, emitting a certain frequency onto the planet. And you sort of passed through that wave on your way in and got blasted with fucking Venus doing its thing. You got blasted with Neptune doing its thing in the sky, blasted with the moon doing its thing in the sky. And as we came through, we picked up on those energies. So that's been my personal dominating theory on how astrology works and how we can still have free will, because we still have the free will to do what we want as we want to do it. But it just means, if we follow the stars when we came through, we can use that energy to be more successful in our pursuits or more seamless in our pursuits. Did you brace or wrap your ankle? I wrapped it for a bit, but I just took it off because it was hurting like hell, and I was thinking maybe it was too tight, but no, it still fucking hurts. It's just getting more swollen out. It's weird. Shit, some weird things going on right now with my foot. We climb up this ladder to being all signs in every position, which means we are everything and nothing. Yeah, we talked about that. Astrology, the demiurge, forex alchemists. Damn, did you guys see that comment? That was what I was getting at in my head. I'm glad you said that out loud, because I was seeing astrology as change. My new thought, my new getting rid of the stars is how I was seeing it. Not as an evolution, not as a progression of something. I wasn't seeing the stars as something that just resonance. I was seeing them as chains. As what if the stars are the demiurge? Forex alchemists. Fuck yes. That was so clutch. Well done, man. I'm glad. Also, I gotta stop cussing so much because they keep demonetizing my videos when I do that. Anywho, I don't know how long we left that comment, Forex, but that's what I was getting at. Again, not saying that's what it is. I just thought it was interesting. Donna, just being real. How's it going? Nice to see you. With conscious awareness, you can do and be anything you want and whoever you need. Yeah. Um, is Homeboy still in here who dropped the demiurge? I feel we come with a rough draft of what we want to accomplish. Then we are free to express in many ways. We have fun with the blueprint, change it up, and add as we go along. Astrology is helpful. Yeah, I'm definitely. I don't mean to say that astrology isn't helpful. Um, it just seemed small. It seemed confining in a universe with, because our astrology is based on reference. Where you're born, that's why your place of birth is also important, because I was born in Ventura. Ventura, California had a particular sky, a particular reference. But even on Earth, there's an infinite amount of different reference points. So imagine multiply that by the size of the universe or the multiverse to just say you're confined to one reference in that is almost criminal. You know what I mean? A demiurge almost. Is he back? Um, Aquarius rising. Yeah, that's what I mean. Or it could be my sign. It could be my sign that's thinking this way. So who knows? Maybe it's that. Still feels small nonetheless. The stars are the record. The stars are the records. The transits bring your decisions back to you. Rice, rest, ice, compress, elevate. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do, I'll do all those things. What I need is some voodoo magic. Y'all need to send some my way. Homeboy's not in here anymore, is he? Authentic Artesia. Sonia Vialpando. What can you say about Geminis with the June 18th B-Day? Off the top of my head, not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Oh, well, 18, they're born on a 9-day, but you'd have to add the whole thing up. Nothing. Other than what I know about Gemini, which I'm sure we all know to some degree. Oh, man, I was hoping Homeboy would still be in here who dropped the demiurge. 7 p.m. tomorrow, you guys. So another quick reminder, we have a guest tomorrow on the live. We're going to be talking about pyramid technology and spiritual warfare type things. So it's going to be good. And he sounds like a genuine dude. So I'm excited. He was the demiurge. That's why he's gone. That's all funny. Yo, if we had the demiurge up on the channel, you know we're doing something real right or real wrong. Either real right or real wrong, but at least we're making lots of moves. Hopefully it's good moves. But as I always say, a bad decision is better than no decision. Gemini's battle greatly with the two polarities within. That's what I mean. Says who? Says the books that you guys read? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like throwing out the books that you guys read say that Gemini, that's something that they battle greatly with. Why isn't a Gemini, why aren't astrology signs written with the positives instead? Like this is all, for example, the first thing that you said with Gemini was they battle greatly with two polarities within. And I would say, I don't know, 7 times out of 10, I hear about a sign. It's like what they struggle with, what they have to overcome, their faults and weaknesses and positives and negatives. Why not say the advanced Gemini moves gracefully between the two poles within them, allowing them to be anything at any given moment of time? Like, why not start with that and say, oh, yeah, it can go wrong and they have a battle with it. But You know what I mean? And that's how I see astrology all the time. That's why it feels more binding than anything, because you guys know how things are said has a lot to do with how we take them, how we receive them. Be careful what you speak, be careful what you wish for, type of thing. um, be careful how you spell, you cast your spells. That's why they call it spelling, as they all say, right? It seems like they're changed more often than not. I'm not convinced on this idea. I'm playing devil's advocate, by the way. I'm not saying this new idea I have is the way it is. Not at all. It's just I'm bringing it up with you guys. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Um, what's your moon sign? My moon sign is Pisces. Pisces moon, Aries sun, Aquarius rising. If all is one, then you can't transcend what you know, and we are all stars. It can all can be one, and we can transcend at the same time. We can definitely have those two things. For example, some would say that we are in the mind of the all. We are a thought creation of the all infinite intelligent being, which means we are all one because we come from the same thing, but we all, within the illusion, it is real for us, which means we can transcend all we want or descend all we want. Kind of like Tolkien when he wrote Lord of the Rings. The whole Middle Earth is J.R. Tolkien, but in the world of Middle Earth, they are their own entities as well, you know? You should have show on Gnostic or discussion. What do you think we're having right now, Mr. Boricua? Boricua, banana. Um, I think Gemini's love to communicate in ways such as feelings, words, movement. What's up with Vedic and Western being different? Which one is better to follow? No idea. Why? Good question, why, and good name too. Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué María? Mi hermano. José Cuervo. ¿Por qué María? ¿Por qué? I don't know, man. I don't know which is better. Linda Goodman has great archetypes for the zodiac. Gemini equals Pinocchio. Interesting. But if we are stars, we can't escape who we are and the stories we tell. No, we can't escape who we are. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a paradox, but I see what you're saying. Oh, Dios mío. Follow Vedic. I've looked into Vedic and gotten mind blown. So that's why I'm like, if all these things are equally mind blowing, but they're different from each other, what fucking point does it make which one I follow? You know what I mean? Like, why that one? If Vedic astrology reveals wild things, but it's different from traditional astrology, which also has wild things, it's like, can I just channel some godly things and create my own type of astrology and it be equally as boss as a Norse mythology, Norse astrological report? You know what I mean? Or an Aztec version. I'm like, I have my new man of letters, channeled it from the Pleiadians myself, because all is mind. Now all of your base are belong to us. Could I? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't. It also doesn't matter if you follow it at all. What matters is why you're alive. You would still end up in the same place. Hmm. Where do you want to see from? Ooh, that's quite the question. Um, I would like to see where. So DK asked a great question. Where do you want to see from? Because I'm like getting pissed at the limiting perception at birth that I had. Where do you want to see from? Where I would like to see from, in other words, is wherever I am. I would like to see from wherever I am. Whatever vantage point I'm standing at in all of existence, I would like to see from where I am and not bring the baggage of any sign or without bringing the lens of any other sign, without bringing a lens of fucking what I read about Aries or what I read about Aquarius. Like, oh, of course he thinks like an Aquarius, like he's saying these things, he's got an Aquarius rising. And it's like we can't even have genuine conversations with people because we're looking at them going, oh, typical. And even outside of astrology, it's like, oh, you would say that you're under 21, you're over 21, you're over 50, you're a man, you're a woman, you're gay, you're straight. It's like we have all these filters that we're constantly looking through that we can't actually see things how it actually is most of the time. And astrology is just another one of those fucking things. It's like this is who you are and this is how people are going to judge you based off of not that that's bad. For sometimes it's really good. Like if you're a leader and you have all kinds of people as pluses and minuses, then you can put a team together and you can have this guy work over here because that's his strengths. You know what I mean? This is her strengths. She can be over here with the homies, that kind of thing. Um, I don't know, but I would just it would just be cool to experience the world as it is and not through these lenses. Um, their archetype is true. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, we can't. I don't think you can. I know I'm talking about these things, you guys. Like I'm getting rid of them. I don't think we can. Or we can, but we also can't. Not really. It sucks. Because like DK said, the archetype is true. Just like the stereotypes are true. Absolutely, stereotypes wouldn't be stereotypes if there wasn't a huge consistency with the stereotype. Obviously, some of them are ridiculous and aren't based in reality, but the majoring factor is this is the point of the human existence to use them as games to learn. I like that. I've always said that with people too. It's to see it as a game, but the see it with the lightness of a game, but understand that it's real to us. Like it's just because it's a game doesn't mean it lacks meaning or significance or um, a certain a certain sort of seriousness to be taken with it. Mostly game. Some like, all right, I have to follow some rules to get to where I want to be. I got to take some things seriously. Um, if not just the game itself, if not just take the game itself seriously, but still understand it's a game, that might be helpful. I wouldn't say it's who you are, just behaviors you're prone to. Agreed. That's yeah. I feel the same way. It's just just tendencies. I feel you. The stars tend to be just be tendencies, not written written in stone. The only thing is that even though it is just a tendency, it's a tendency at the core. So if you avoid those tendencies for long enough, you almost cripple. You know what I mean? It's like it's like my favorite meal. You know, like I don't have to always eat it. I tend to like these foods. It's not. live or die, but if I never eat it for the rest of my life, I will be really pissed off if I don't eat my favorite meal for the rest of my life. Even though it's just something I like, it's nothing serious. It's just a tendency, in other words. So it is still a big deal. That's what I mean. That was what I came to terms with as far as astrology is concerned. Is we have tendencies to be a certain way. We have the free will to act outside of that. But if we act outside of those tendencies for long enough, we become sad, or we become unproductive, or we turn into the dark side of our sign instead of the light side of our sign. Does astrology unlock the game, or does it lock the game? I feel like astrology might be the thing that locks the game. Unless you mean cheat code by you understand the rules of the game better. Is that what you mean? You understand the energies better because of the stars, and that's your cheat code? If that's the case, I agree 100%. That's very true. It does unlock the game. Um, I love how I'm just playing devil's advocate to all the musings in the chat room right now. This is how we develop our thoughts, you guys. This is how we learn. Me myself, I'm learning right now. Moon Saturn matrix is the real enemy, not astrology. I don't even know what that means. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like DNA, the code that writes your physical form. You can change it, but you will be different. Yeah, it's well put. Well put, Kalis. I agree. Ignoring your initial influence can be a hindrance. Understanding your initial lessons and respecting free will can be great. Well said, Salavi. Well said. My aspiration is to be a Titan in my next life. See, that's what I'm saying. Why not now? Why can't you be a Titan now, Malone? If you think you have the spirit for a Titan in the next life, why the hell is that spirit not here now? Like, if it's got the potential to be it eventually, that means it has the potential to be it now. Am I making sense? So meditate, draw in your friggin' higher spirit into your physical form, do a little fusion dance, bada bing, bada boom. Some friends become enemies, some enemies become friends. You are now a walking, living Titan. Current modern day Titan in human form. See what I'm saying? Rewrite that shit. Find your cross to bear. Find your. Oh, I've been meaning to look up the North Star. Someone help me out. Do I have to type that in? Is the North Star something that comes down to the time of birth or what? I did get a transmission about labels today, ironically how restrictive they are. And that's all I was getting at, is how restrictive. But I wanted to give it a reason, not just say labels are restrictive, like, because they're useful to have labels. Otherwise, like, how are we going to communicate with each other? If we don't separate things, you know what I mean? Like, separate to a degree, separation is necessary, at least for our existence. But yeah, that was basically what I was getting at. North Node, not star. The solar cross is your modality of your sun sign. They are meant to convey meaning. Sounds like something straight out of an Alan Watts lecture. Kalis, well said. If we think about it, I can hear it in his voice too. It's like, all words are labels. They're not tangible. They meant to convey meaning. Sorry, I do a terrible. No, not Alan Watts. I meant Terrence McKenna. That was my awful Terrence McKenna impression. Sorry, you guys. I don't know if I agree completely with that, Kalis. What what meaning you receive from a label or word is about you. It is about you, but it's the a relationship. It's always a relationship. It's our understanding of the word and the other person's deliverance of the word. Some people, like I've had teachers growing up, they were awful fucking teachers. And I've had teachers that were amazing teachers because they were able to convey the message better. A lot of it had to do with my end, of course, how well I was able to listen and understand and put in the effort on my end. Um, but I don't think I think it's a relationship for the most part, not how well the other person knows what they're talking about. Because I think how much a person knows how much a person knows about what they're talking. Did I say that right? So it's getting late. But I do think it helps on both ends. I gotta if you Google North Star along, I'll look up my North. I'll write that down because that's one of those things where I'd like to say you mentioned pick up your cross or your burden. Like why not pick up your why not pick up your destiny instead of your burden, or instead of pick up your, because when I think of pick up your cross, that doesn't get me excited. Like if you were to hook me up to one of those machines that record my frequency output that we're reading about in Power versus Force, if you say pick up your cross, I'm definitely not like, here we go. I'm picturing Jesus getting hammered with giant iron spikes through his body, pinning him to a giant piece of wood where he slowly asphyxiates and dies 3 days later. That's what I think of when you tell me to pick up my cross. And you might be right, is the thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't pick up our cross, because absolutely there's going to be hardship and we're going to have to bear that shit. But at the same time, why not switch the words? Why not pick up your destiny? Because your destiny includes all things. It includes the happiness, it includes the sadness, it includes the cross that you have to carry, it includes the cross you get to put down, it includes the loves, and it includes everything. And it's still something that we can't avoid, like the cross that you were talking about. That's another sort of me playing devil's advocate to the idea that the stars are chains, that the stars could be an extension of the demiurge, could be the border, the boundary in between us and the demiurge. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean? All I know is what I experience. Someone told me that recently. We can only really know what we experience. And a lot of the things that we talk about in spirituality aren't things that we can directly experience at this moment. We can read books about it. We can listen to people who channel about it. Um, if you're channeling shit yourself, you're probably, I would consider that direct experience, but not a lot of people can do something like that. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? What are you willing to give up to become God? Yeah, DK, that is gold right there. There was something I was doing. I was launching my book a few years ago, and I wanted it to be super successful. So that was my first thought. I don't even know where that came from. Was I have to sacrifice something? I have to give something up. So I gave up some of my favorite. I gave up drinking, smoking, straight West Coasting for like 5-6 months, as like as like, okay, amongst other things, like I gave up time, I gave up partying, I gave up all the things I gave up to write the book well. But then, like, on top of that, because there's always this sort of, what are you willing to give, in order to receive, because it matches usually. So that's well said, DK. What are you willing to give up to become God? Um, yeah. Um, is the stars chains or the words? Are the stars chains or are the words? Oh, good question, Authentic Autasia. I'm not sure. Um, as Kayla says, all words are labels alluding to meanings. So I don't know. Um, I hmm. Yeah, these conversations are so, there's so much gray space. There's so much gray matter in these types of conversations. That's why you guys get an idea of how my brain works when it's late. I don't believe that it needs to be that difficult. I don't either. That's what I'm saying, Kalis. That's my whole point. I'm like, do we have to have all these goddamn stars with all these goddamn meanings and positive and minus? Can't I just exist? Can't I just stand on the soil, look out into the universe, and just experience, just raw dog the universe with experience? You know what I mean? And just be as simple as that. That's what I'm hoping for. Trust me, I like shit simple. I do. My whole my cross on this planet is to take complex things and make them as simple as I possibly can. That you just nailed it. You nailed it on the head. I like it. It feels like it's oppressive to have to give something up to get something else. Not necessarily. I guess maybe I was thinking more in terms of balance. Um, like in Indiana Jones, he took the bag of gold off the altar, but he had to counterweight the altar. He had to put something on it so that he didn't tip the scales of balance. That's sort of an alluding to the physical world. The physical world tends to always want to balance itself. Our capacity of emotion, for example, our capacity to love matches our capacity to hate, sort of thing. Um, you date someone for a weekend, it doesn't work out, whatever. You date someone for 4 years, it doesn't work out. It's a whole fucking ordeal. You know what I mean? Because you have more, there's more love adds to. Anywho, that's what I was getting at with sacrificing to get something. Um, but I'll admit that does seem to be very. Here's the thing, you guys. When we're in existence, we have to play by these rules. When we're existing in the matrix, in the mind of the all, you know, with our own egos. My ego as Keith Garcia, your ego as Kalis, yours is Salabi, yours is DK, right? Yes, we're all one, but we're experiencing oneness through individualized lenses called our egos. Attached with the ego, your world becomes a nightmare. But understand that you're just a thing looking through the ego, your world becomes a little bit brighter. What was I getting at? I lost my train of thought. It's very difficult talking to myself and the computer screen with no words coming back at me. I feel like I'm just speaking into a void. That's why I love live guests on the live so much. I don't feel like I'm talking into a void. But if you think, feel, or say it's hard, it will be. Agreed. So are you saying difficulty doesn't exist? So, but if you think, feel, or say it's hard, it will be. Um, so would you say that? Would you say that? I don't know. You know that how people say that if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Um, my answer to that has always been it's awfully egotistical of humans to think that only if they are there to experience something does it happen. That's like saying, oh, if humans aren't here to ask such brilliant questions, um, sounds wouldn't be made at all. It's like there are things happening outside of human perception. You know what I mean, you guys? There are objective things happening outside of humanity. So I don't know. So saying there's no such thing as difficulty as long as you don't speak that. I don't know if I buy that either. That's another age old spiritual teaching, or at least New Age spiritual teaching, where it's like only what you believe goes. And the answer is yes, but you're not the only person in existence. You know what I mean? You can think all the things you want, but you're also living in a universe with a whole bunch of other sentient beings with their own thoughts influencing your realm. The saying goes, as above, so below, as below, so above, meaning that both the outside and the inside influence one another. Unless you completely transcend our existence, right? You can eat 9 grams of dried pizza toppings in a dark room and completely transcend all of this, and you're like, I am one. There is no such thing as anything except for everything. You're welcome. You know what I mean? That could happen. But as you know, practically speaking, as a human being walking down the street, interacting with a whole bunch of other people that you have zero control over with their own thoughts and their own perceptions of the world, it's like saying, hey, glass of warm water, keep thinking that you're really warm. I'm going to throw you into the ocean, the Pacific Northwest Ocean. But stay warm. Just think warm thoughts as I throw you into an ocean of freezing water. Like, no, the water's going to become fucking cold. Like, it's just what happens. So back to what you were saying with it only, maybe a healthier way to think about it is, yes, there are such things as difficult, and yes, there are such things as easy. But I know that difficult and easy are two sides of the same coin. And the moment I practice something difficult, it becomes easy. And I've transmuted the frequency of difficult to easy because they're all on the same plane, right? Difficulty and easy, same thing, just where you're looking at it at the spectrum. But then we move to the next degree. And now you have new things that are difficult that become easy. You conquer those. New things that are difficult, they become easy. You conquer those. So it's our role to sort of transmute the energies as we come across them. To cast light into the darkness, to see something that's difficult and not ignore the difficulty, not say the difficulty doesn't exist, but to acknowledge the difficulty and be like, all right, I see that. I can be real with myself, and I understand that I have character traits that are going to make this task difficult. I procrastinate. I have some insecurities about myself. I'm not good with public speaking. So you have these sort of things that you're like, all right, I need to get better at so that I can transmute this situation from difficult to easy. And we just go through life doing that. Like you just said earlier, that we can transcend. You said it yourself. Someone said it themselves. They said, if it's all one, then we can't transcend anything because there's nothing to transcend. It's perfectly said, right? Because we're living in this existence where we have the illusion of separation. So we have the ability to transcend, transmute, learn lessons, get better at things, develop ourselves. If we were always perfect, there wouldn't be development. There would be no rising up the ladder. There'd be no going down the ladder, sideways on the ladder. There'd be no switching out ladders for better ladders. Yeah, shit's crazy. It just goes back. It goes, doesn't it go? It just go. Am I going in circles? I hope I'm not going in circles, you guys. I hope I'm not. I could be going in circles. But astrology helps you see the difficulties clear. Yes, it does, DK. Yes, it does. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. I can see all obstacles in my way. A ba-da-dee boop, beep doop, diddle-deep deep boop. It's as if embracing yourself more and more each time is the key until where are we? Went out and smoked a joint. Dude, you might as well go back outside and smoke another one, Alchemy, because I don't even know where we are. We went to the stars and back. We met a demiurge. Some friends became enemies. Some enemies became friends. Yeah, that's about it. Circles ask circles. Always, yeah. We learned that you have to move in circles, not angles, to avoid the hounds at the gates. Jordanus, just like God split itself to experience itself. Ooh, well, no, not exactly alchemy. You're gonna. I'm speaking in terms of hermetics, so I'm not hating on you guys, but I don't think God split himself. God can't split himself because that would make two gods. And there is no two gods. There's only one God. There's the all, right? The all is this one singularity that it comes back to. It's not a dualarity that it all comes down to. And it would be a dualarity if God split himself. So God didn't split himself. Plus, there's nothing outside of God, because God is everything, in which to do the splitting of. Like, how are you going to split with it? What are you going to split with? And that's like saying that there's something outside of God for God to exist in, so that he can be separate into existing in a space. Right? God is the one, is the single. The thought that brings us to existence within the mind of the all is how God is not a thing. Right? It's not something that we can define, because by definition, God is not something you can define. And as soon as you say God is this, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. It's a paradox. We have finite minds trying to figure out the infinite. So I don't think what did happen, though, what you are getting at is sort of the duality, or the polarity, or the sort of, what do you call, the law of gender, where things seem to manifest a masculine and a feminine in every form. Right brain, left brain, man, woman. Plants have masculine, feminine. The sun and the moon. Um, um, God is above law. Yes, well said, authentic, Tasia. So the split thing you're talking about, God is above everything until infinity. Even infinity, even saying God is infinity is falls short, because infinity suggests an amount of time passing. That amount of time is an infinite amount of time and or space. And God is neither time nor space. He's far above those things. So even saying infinite is falls short, in other words. How come polarity exists as an extension of there are these seven. So what I'm speaking to you guys about right now, I'm speaking to you as part of something called the Hermetic philosophy. There's seven laws of there's seven principles of existence that the Hermetic philosophy follows. First is mental. Everything has a mental origin, and then it's vibration. Everything that exists has a frequency. It moves and produces a frequency. Correspondence, which is as above, so below. Duality, or polarity, which says that everything that exists has an opposite, and that all opposites are the same thing, only to varying degree. Example: hot, cold, same thing, heat, energy. They just exist at different points of the spectrum. Cold is over here, hot's over here. Then you have rhythm, which says this says energy will always flow back and forth between the poles, night and day, happy, sad, motivated, unmotivated, courageous, fearful. And that we sort of rise on the scale to infinity as we conquer those things. That was rhythm. Oh, law of cause and effect. Simple. It says every effect has a cause. Every cause has an effect. And then gender, which says everything that exists has both a masculine and a feminine quality. Not to be confused with sex, as in man and woman, though that is the physical representation of the law of gender, but there's also the laws, all the laws operate on every level: physical, mental, spiritual. physical, mental, spiritual level. And they just replicate themselves. Golden ratio type shit, Fibonacci sequence type shit. And no, God is not separate from it all. God contains it all. God is not separate from it. God is the infinite container. When I say it's above law, I say that because there's nothing that can confine the all, because the all is the all. So you can't say that God is a man, in other words, because God is everything, or a woman, because God is everything. You can't say that God split himself in half, because what is going to do the splitting? There's nothing outside of God to do the splitting. Plus, you can't define God, because that says that God is not singular. If he's split, then that means he's not one. So God is not one. Of course, God is one. It'd be silly for God not to be one. He can't change into something else because he is everything. How would he change, or how would it change into something else if it is already the totality of existence, alpha, omega type shit? So not separate. I don't mean to say that God is separate from us, just above law. The all is above law. What defines feminine and masculine is, well, it depends who you ask. It's a loose definition, with obviously a bunch of gray areas, but for the most part, masculine is a projecting energy and feminine is a receiving type of energy. So feminine is passive, masculine is active. Say a warrior going to battle meditates the night before battle. Feminine, right? He's receiving energy, receiving insight, receiving fucking vibes from the universe, preparing his mind and his will, right? He's receiving. That's his. He's in his feminine. Charges the battlefield. That's his masculine. Of course, the way he fights could be graceful, and that's us. There's a femininity in art and martial arts for sure with grace. Flowy things tend to be feminine. Angular things tend to be masculine. Masculine is focused energy, and feminine is all fucking the energy all at once. And a good way of, it was a psychology book I read. He wasn't speaking in terms of feminine, masculine, but he was speaking in terms of right brain, left brain, which surprisingly follows the masculine, feminine principle. But he says that the feminine mind, the artistic mind, is like an elephant, massively powerful. But without direction, it just rips up trees and tears the forest down. But you put the rider on top of the elephant, and now you can control the power behind the elephant without destroying things in the process. And that is the balance of masculine and feminine. Is the ability to have access to the infinite, which is sort of the feminine, right? The subconscious plug, but then utilizing that, concentrating that into manifesting something. That's why you always need the two. That's also part of the law of gender, is that you need a healthy combination of both masculine and feminine to birth new projects. How do cells divide? It's been a long time since I took biology. The nucleus splits in half, and then half the genetic material goes, and then the genetic material copies its other half, or something like that. Or is that a rhetorical question? Were you raised with any kind of religion? Yes, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school growing up. Slavi, yin yang. Yes, well said. Feminine being the womb, masculine being the thought. Yeah, there you go. Energy is the only essence that resonates with everything at every level that what deities, who we call gods and goddesses, possess. Ooh, I like that, alchemy. That was a good one. Dark feminine energy. What is the opposite? Dark feminine energy sounds way too serious. It's not dark feminine energy. It's just there are times when you should use a quality of energy, and there are times when you shouldn't. Like there are times when you need to take action, and if you're being passive, that doesn't make the passive energy dark. It just means it's not useful at that time, and vice versa. There are times when you need to chill the fuck out and sort of going into your feminine would be like stopping, slowing down, revisiting your game plan, rewriting your game plan, taking like a serious stock in all your life, and am I going in the right direction? Is this even happy? Am I even happy doing what I'm doing anymore? This is a sort of feminine, and then you gather yourself, and then you project yourself back into the world, and that's like, okay, now I'm accessing the masculine. So like a dark feminine would be, well, that's what I mean. So passive isn't a bad trait. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. So that could be your answer. Just at any moment in time, think, is what I'm doing right now pushing me towards my goal? If the answer is genuinely and sincerely yes, then you're good. If you're like, actually, nah, I could be doing better. I'm avoiding something, or I'm neglecting something. I'm willingly ignorant to something, right? Okay, well then you're probably in the wrong sort of energy field, you know. Kalis, well said. Took the words right out my mouth. Lady of Fire, things become dark when they are not being used properly. Perfect. I love when you guys wrap up 2 minutes of me rambling in 2 sentences. Thank you. To me, the feminine is the light. Actually, no, the feminine is the dark. If you were to attribute light and dark to the genders, this is the law of gender again. Has nothing to do with fucking the alphabet thing that happens when you talk about different genders. It's specifically masculine, feminine, and of course there's a blending of the two. Think of the yin yang symbol. There's some black in the white side, and there's some white in the black side. However, where are we at? Oh yeah. The feminine tends to be dark because the feminine is chaos. The feminine is pure potential. It can be anything, but it lacks order because it can be, by default, it must lack order to be anything. And order is usually associated with the light, and chaos is usually associated with the darkness. There's a ton of TV shows and movies that talk about that talk about the need for both of these things to exist. And even in some of the TV shows I've watched, usually God is portrayed as a man, order, and the chaos, darkness is referred to as a woman. You get that story a lot throughout history. And that mostly has to do with, we fear the unknown. We fear chaos because we can't make sense of it, and our minds want to rush. Our ego mind is masculine. Like that's the whole point of an ego, is to consolidate your existence into an entity. Like that is the masculine role, is to consolidate potential into a defined thing. So that's what's happening, right? That's what the ego is doing with the unknown. It kind of freaks out, and that's what the feminine. And it's like, oh, we can be anywhere, we're everything. We can be anywhere. We're all over the place, undefined, pure chaos. Step into my lair, said the spider to the fly. As it should be feared, because I even wrote this in my book. The feminine is far more powerful than the masculine in terms of just like raw strength. The feminine is way more powerful, but it'll destroy anything. Like the feminine will destroy. It's like a hurricane that just sweeps fucking through the Caribbean, and people's houses are floating down the street and shit. It's not till the addition of the masculine that concentrates the chaos into something usable. If you get a damaged masculine, the concentrated potential turns into an atom bomb. If you get the enlightened masculine, the concentration turns into, or the chaos, pure potential turns into a safe wireless Tesla cable. You know what I mean? You take raw energy and you can sort of spit out whatever you want. But as the law of cause and effect goes, you cannot have an effect that does not contain a piece of the cause. And if your cause is a shitty feminine, you're going to end up with a shitty outcome. If your cause is a shitty masculine, you're going to end up with a shitty outcome. Simple cause and effect. Simple cause and effect. Yeah. Good night, Kalis. Thanks for hanging. Anywho, night does sound good. I've already been on here for an hour. I'm tired. I really wanted to share that astrology thought. I'm not sold on it. I could wake up tomorrow. I'd be like, nah, we're all stuck to our stars for all eternity. All of your base are belong to us. But Kalila Isvara. I hear you. The feminine clad in white lights. Yeah, well said, Alchemy. Alchemy 101. Yeah, shout out to all you ladies out there rocking that gangster ass, raw dogging, feminine chaos energy. Y'all are killing it. That being said, tomorrow evening at 7 Pacific Standard Time, which is Sunday, April whatever, 26th or something like that, one of the homies is going to be on the live. And I'm excited because we're going to talk pyramid. We're going to talk pyramid science, spiritual warfare. We're going deep. We're diving. And whatever else comes up. He sounds like a very learned individual. And also a sincere one too. So it should be it better be an interesting conversation. It will. It'll be an interesting conversation for sure. So I'd be feminine on its own and stagnant. Yeah. Because it lacks the action of the masculine. And too much masculine is overly aggressive and is tyrannical. That's what our leadership right now. Here's what before we end it, this is a personal shooting from the hip theory of mine, but I think our leadership is dominated by an unhealthy masculine. And I think the people, the general population, is dominated by an unhealthy feminine, because those in charge are dickheads. They have money to fix world hunger over 20 times, but they don't care to do it. But the general population is overly passive. Like, the general population, for the most part, will let the government do whatever the government wants to do to them, as long as there's some imminent crisis that the government has to defend us from. Terrorists or Indians or aliens or diseases. So that we have a tendency to have been that way. I think it's starting to roll over. We're seeing a lot of more people in powerful positions that are making truly philanthropical moves. And a lot of the population is waking up to the nonsense that we're being fed. And we've gotten our wake-up call, and we've woken up. And now we're fighting the good fight. And there's a ton of us doing that now. There is a god awfully large amount of people doing that. So we're waking up. I believe we've passed the tipping point. I do believe we've passed the tipping point for the good side to win. It's just a matter of when at this point. How many people wake up? How many people do what they're called here to do, and do it well, right? That's the idea, is to do what we do, but do it well, so that so it actually means something to our, if not just our immediate surrounding family, if not just, the 0.25 square miles of our home. Like, that's all it takes. You don't have to go out there and fucking be the next Gandhi. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I encourage people not to try to be the next Gandhi or the next big guru, but to just slay the 0.25 mile radius around your house. Like, if everyone did that, that's all it would take. It's a lot easier to wrap your head around too. Jabron, hey, what's up? He's in here. Nice. Jabron Walker is going to be in here. Yeah, we got this. Yeah, but you guys don't think in terms of light and dark as good and bad. In some cases, it can be good, and in some cases, it can be bad. But for the most part, not all things that are dark are bad. You know what I mean? Like, the night is inherently dark, but that doesn't mean the night is bad. The day is inherently light, but that doesn't mean the day is good. People have wonderful merry-making festivities at night, and some people get murdered during the day. You know what I mean? So don't think in terms of it's dark, it's always bad, or it's light, it's always good. Yeah, some people do really fucked up things in the name of the light. You know what I mean? So it's like, try not to get too caught up. If you're hearing feminine and you're like, oh, I don't like that the feminine's dark or something like that. Because there's nothing like an overzealous, over-righteous person claiming to be from the light. That's just as fucking annoying as the opposite side. All right. Let's call it. How you guys feel about that? We're going to call it? We're going to call it. 72 minutes in. We're at the God number. We're at the number 9. So thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks. Welcome all the new squad, everyone who's been hanging out. Glad to see you. Glad to have you around. Super stoked to grow the fam and to grow the squad. For those of you in California, I doubt you're going to fly. The plant medicine retreat is back on. Those of you that can't make it, don't worry. We'll have another one probably in fall. As long as this one goes well, we'll have another one in fall. And when things cool down, we'll just have another one. Those of you that couldn't make it. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is Sunday, we're going to have a live with the homie. And yeah, you guys could be anywhere, but you're here hanging out. Appreciate the hell out of you. Thank each other too. Don't just thank me. I'm just providing the platform, but y'all are the real MV pizzles. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll talk to you guys soon.